Hello, this is Patricia welcoming you to the 2104th edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper, Dateline 13th of July 2017. Our readers this week are Katherin, Ian and Ros, with Arthur on the sports desk. We have Den on the controls and the editor was Phillip. The production and distribution team is Jean, Peter and Phillip. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Bouillon and Harry Brewer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perret, and it's used with his kind permission. The local news stories that we'll be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and they are their copyright. The events information has been collated by us from other sources. The local news headlines this week include Facing the Axe and We're So Fed Up of All This Gang Crime. But before the news, we have two items to add. The sunrise and sunset times for the week beginning Monday the 17th of July. Sunrise will be at 05:03 and sunset will be at 21:09. And news of the annual general meeting of the Enfield Talking newspaper, which will take place at St Andrew's Church Hall, Enfield, on Monday the 24th of July at 7:30 p.m. All are very welcome to attend. And now over to Ros, who will read the first item of local news.
We're so fed up of all this gang crime. More than 500 people marched in solidarity to protest against a spate of knife and gang crime. The Schools Against Violence march, sponsored by Group the Young Soldiers, saw people come together in Edmonton. They also gave voice to the possible causes and discuss ways this can be stamped out for good. They also hope to present a solution to combat the epidemic before it gets out of hand. March organiser Dr. Pat Agdoma said, "Today's march has demonstrated how much our local communities are concerned in combating this unnecessary social evil of youth violence. It's been a tremendously successful campaign, but we must continue to build on that." The march began outside Tottenham Hotspur football ground and moved along the High Street to 4th Street. Here it dramatically grew in size, peaking to around 500 people. The march was sponsored by young soldiers who have campaigned against youth violence over the last 5 years. And the march was coordinated in partnership with the local Metropolitan Police for Tottenham and Edmonton and a number of local councillors. It ended at the Edmonton Green Shopping Centre in 4th Street, and Edmonton MP Kate Ossima also attended the event. The event protested a number of recent attacks in the borough. Joe Ricardo Gomez, 18, was killed after a fight in Hertford Road, Enfield, in May. And in April, a street brawl in Rivermead Road, which included baseball bats, saw an 18-year-old stabbed in the leg and 5 others injured. In February, a woman in her 70s was robbed at gunpoint at her house in Lancaster Road, Enfield. And last October, a 20-year-old was stabbed in Monmouth Road after a fight.
Facing the Axe, MP voices her concerns over the future of Enfield Police Station. The front desk at one of the borough's 2 police stations may be axed because of squeezed budgets, residents were warned this week. Plans have been drawn up by the Mayor of London to keep just one 24-hour police station open to the public in each of the capital's boroughs. Currently, Edmonton Police Station's front counter is manned 24 hours, while Enfield Police Station in Baker Street, Enfield Town, is open just 40 hours a week. London Mayor Sadiq Khan has warned that up to half of the capital's police station front counters may be forced to close to maintain the number of police on the streets. It has prompted Enfield North MP Joan Ryan to write to the Home Secretary Amber Rudd, demanding she provides more cash for policing in Enfield. Ms Ryan said, "I am extremely concerned that Enfield Police Station could be the next of our vital police services to be axed. For the last 4 years, Enfield has just one 24-hour police station in Edmonton, despite the fact that our borough has a population of 330,000 people. At a time when our community is suffering from a rise in violent crime and we desperately need more police, we cannot afford to lose another police station right in the heart of Enfield. I understand that Sadiq Khan is faced with very little choice when it comes to the Met's budget and finding ways to maintain the number of police on our streets. The massive cuts imposed by the government are putting the safety of the public and police at risk, not just in Enfield, but across the whole of London. In 2013, opening times at Enfield Police Station were reduced from 24 hours a day to 40 hours a week. Speaking in front of the London Assembly Policing Plenary last week, Mr. Khan said, "The reality is this: if the government proceeds with its cuts, we will have to close half the police stations in London, which could lead to each borough having only one 24-hour, 7 days a week police station open to the public. The busiest boroughs may have another one." Labour council leaders, including Doug Taylor, the leader of Enfield Council, have also voiced their fears and declared their opposition to any further police station closures. In an open letter coordinated by Lib Pack, the leader of Lambeth Council, representatives of 20 boroughs across London have called on the government to scrap planned cuts to the police service and work with the mayor to keep the police stations open.
Paul fears he's had his chips due to cycle lane disruption. An Enfield chippy's takings have been slashed because of ongoing roadworks nearby, it was claimed this week. John Fantis, owner of Fish and Chips at London Road, says the business is struggling to survive because of the cycle Enfield work being carried out nearby. Business was tough before the installation of cycle lanes through the borough started, but now, with no foreseeable end date, he fears it could be the nail in the coffin for his business. He does not oppose cycle lanes per se, but says that digging one down either side of the A105 will, even after the inevitable disruption caused by building them, increase road congestion and could put local shopkeepers like him out of business. Mr. Fantis said, "We've really suffered since the work started about 4 weeks ago. They've blocked the road so people can't stop outside. I'd say takings are down up to 50% some days and about 35% on others. We just can't keep going like this, and they haven't told us how long it's going on for. They are working at a snail's pace. They lay about 6 slabs a day. I don't blame the workmen, but if this was a private company, there'd be somebody kicking them to go faster. But there's no boss out there and no time pressures. But all the time, we're losing money." The £42 million Cycle Enfield programme has triggered bitter arguments between Better Streets campaigners, shop owners and the council. Pressure group Save Our Green Lanes has fought furiously against the segregation scheme, including, unsuccessfully, through the courts. Robert Hayward, Tory councillor for Southgate and Shadow Cabinet member for the Environment, is pushing for compensation for affected businesses. Mr. Hayward said, "It is obvious that this Labour-led council is not going to stop Cycle Enfield and the damage it is doing to our shops and businesses. I'm calling for compensation from the council for all the shops that have lost income." An Enfield Council spokesperson said, "Cycle Enfield is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to rejuvenate the borough and dramatically improve our town centres for generations to come. To that end, there is an inevitable degree of disruption while the works are being carried out, as there is with all major construction projects. Nonetheless, we are committed to completing the Cycle Enfield works as rapidly as possible and to the highest standards, and are in regular dialogue with our contractors in this regard, and thank residents and businesses for their patience during this period. However, any business that believes it has been detrimentally impacted during the construction period should apply to the Valuation Office Agency for possible business rate relief.
Hospital's cladding fails fire resistance tests. A hospital has been found to be a fire hazard after its cladding failed resistance tests. North Middlesex Hospital carried out a number of assessments in the wake of the Grenfell fire tragedy. The cladding on the hospital's main building, which includes the main outpatient, day surgery, link corridors and office facilities, failed the fire resistance test. But the cladding on the building's main tower does have the appropriate level of fire resistance. A statement from the hospital said, "We want to reassure patients, staff and visitors that our main ward areas do not have cladding on their exterior walls and as a result are not affected. The parties responsible for the ongoing maintenance of the building and who have been working with us on this matter have been informed of the test result. Assessments to ensure that the appropriate alerting systems are maintained and fully functional, firefighting equipment is available, and fire wardens are clear of the evacuation procedures were also carried out. They also ensured clear processes are in place for moving patients to places of safety or evacuation in the event of a fire."
Stroke survivor in charity race. A man who overcame a stroke took on a charity challenge with his wife and daughter. Tony Boyce, who lives in Tottenham, was one of the many racers who supported Stroke Association's Step Out for Stroke at Stephen's House and Gardens on Sunday. The 50-year-old will be joined by his wife, Anne-Marie, and daughter Ashley, who's 20. Anne-Marie said, "Tony's stroke was a huge shock for us all, but thankfully, Tony found out about the Stroke Association and he attends their local support group where he meets other stroke survivors. And since joining the group, his recovery has gone from strength to strength, and so has his confidence. The Stroke Association's work is extremely close to both our hearts, so we're both determined to raise as much as we can." Tony had no symptoms when he had his stroke and only realised something was wrong when he was complaining of a headache and found he couldn't drive. To sponsor the family, see www.justgiving.com/Anna-Marie-Boyce.
Prison for burglar who beat old lady. A man who wrapped tape around an elderly woman's neck as he violently punched her and burgled her house has been jailed for 20 years. Terence Rocks of Priors Mead, Enfield, was found guilty of attempting to cause grievous bodily harm and burglary on the woman who has dementia at the Old Bailey. The 52-year-old created a fictitious character called Ned, who he claimed had carried out the assault. But Judge Bevan called this defence laughable as he handed out his sentence. Police received a call from a distressed member of the public just before midnight on March the 4th to reports that a woman, 79, had been attacked at home in Enfield. When officers arrived, the woman's face was covered in blood and tape was tightly wrapped around her neck. She named her attacker as Terence Rock and was taken to hospital, but she soon forgot her ordeal as a result of her dementia and assumed she was in hospital for a routine checkup. She was left with 2 loose teeth, bruises and cuts to her entire face, bruising to her neck and grazes to her right elbow. When officers forced their way into Rox's house, they found the victim's ring on the floor in the hallway, but he was not there. He was arrested the following day at 1 p.m. when he was spotted going home and still had the victim's blood on his hands. Officers searched Rox, and in his pockets they found other stolen items from the victim's address. His Honour Judge Bevan also admonished Rox, saying he told palpable lies to the jury and described him as a dangerous man. DC Joel Gregory, the investigating officer from Enfield's Major Crime Unit, said, "This was one of the most shocking attacks on a vulnerable person that I have seen. thankfully the victim did not sustain any long-term injuries.
We're more likely to complain. Enfield residents are the fifth most active complainers in the capital when it comes to consumer rights over poor service, according to research. A survey by Ombudsman Services shows there were 344 energy and communications complaints from people in the borough in 2016. Not far behind the Enfield public in the complaint stakes were those of neighbouring borough Haringey, who are in sixth place with 333. These were dwarfed by the number of complaints coming from the community of Barnet, who topped the London-wide list with 494. Outside the top 10 are the people of Redbridge, with 264 complaints, whilst residents of Waltham Forest were found to be the least likely of all to complain, with 109. To find out further information about Ombudsman Services, visit www.ombudsman-services.org.
Learn to spot the signs of counterfeit tobacco. The dangers that cheap, illegal cigarettes and tobacco pose in supporting international criminal gangs and damaging people's health will be highlighted at a roadshow coming to Enfield next week. Dodgy cigarettes sold under the counter and on the black market might be cheaper, but they contain all kinds of harmful substances. And buyers are lining the pockets of criminals with links to drug dealing, people smuggling, and money laundering. Visitors to the Information Roadshow at Enfield Civic Centre in Silver Street, which starts at 10 o'clock on Monday morning, 17th of July, can learn to spot and identify counterfeit tobacco and where to report their concerns if they suspect or witness it being sold. It's part of a London-wide campaign involving the capital's local authorities and trading standards and health professionals, and it's aimed at stamping out the illegal trade. Visitors will also have the chance to meet the sniffer dogs, who play a vital role in enforcement operations, helping to find concealed or smuggled hauls of illegal tobacco. Enfield Council Cabinet Member for Environment, Daniel Anderson, said, as well as all this, those selling illegal tobacco often target children and young smokers. We're therefore happy to support this campaign to weed out anyone involved in buying or selling these products. As part of our drive to build strong communities and to foster safe, well-regulated neighbourhoods, we're cracking down on this issue, he added. Residents who have any information relating to illegal tobacco can email trading.standards@enfield.gov.uk, or they can call the Citizens Advice Consumer Helpline on 03454 04 05 06.
In these shoes? I don't think so. A daring 19-year-old from Enfield has tried to scale Britain's highest mountain in 5-inch stiletto heels as part of his application for a scholarship. Ben Conway of Churchbury Lane battled gale-force winds and torrential rain with just walking poles to aid him as he climbed 2/3 of Ben Nevis in the Scottish Highlands. He was just 400 metres away from the 1.345-metre summit when his stiletto strap broke, making it impossible to navigate the huge boulders and complete the climb. The audacious expedition was the result of his application to the School of Creative Arts in Brixton, South London, in which Ben was asked to describe his passion. Having never climbed up a mountain before, even in walking boots, Ben chose the challenge to combine his love of heels and drag queen culture. It was a story about determination and the power of the human spirit, explained Ben. He set off for the mountain with a walking guide and a friend, Callum Mackenzie Allen, who filmed a 2-minute video. The most rewarding thing was making people smile, he said, who used to be a leader at the 4th Enfield Cubs in Gordon Road. Despite the treacherous conditions, he escaped the hike unscathed after 5 hours of climbing 900 metres up that mountain. I generally hurt myself more on the nights out in London wearing those heels, joked Ben. He trained for the hike by going to Nordic walking classes at Trent Park in Oakwood, which involved using walking poles to increase muscle strength. And the former head boy of Enfield Grammar School in Marketplace set up a GoFundMe page with the aim of raising £400 to be split between two charities. Half of the cash will be donated to Sal's Shoes, which donates second-hand shoes to children in developing countries. And the other half will go to Stonewall, which campaigns for equal rights among the LGBT community. Ben added, "This challenge was really about making people smile, making an idea come alive, and showing people that if you have an idea, there's absolutely nothing to lose."
Walker Trio, top of the class at school awards. A valued primary school governor has scooped a prestigious award. Our very own Phillip Dawson received our Outstanding Contribution to Governor Award for his exceptional dedication to raising education standards. Mr. Dawson has been a governor for 9 years at Walker Primary School in Waterfall Road, Southgate, and was made chairman of the governing body in 2013. The 38-year-old is a director at Fraser Brown McKenna Architects in central London and church warden at Christ Church Southgate in the Green. He was a governor for 3 years at Carthatch Junior School in Carthatch Lane, Enfield, and the governing bodies set the aims and objectives for their schools and work closely with head teachers. It was very embarrassing to receive an award when so much hard work goes on every day by so many governors in Enfield, said Mr. Dawson of Selborne Road, Southgate. I have always tried to make sure we spend our time as governors effectively, and I wrote a governor's finance handbook to help demystify the timescales and jargon which is now used at other schools. The annual award ceremony, which is hosted by Enfield Council, was held at the Dugdale Centre in London Road, Enfield Town. The awards celebrate the work of 1,200 governors across the borough for the hours of voluntary work they offer to help support more than 90 schools. 9 governors were awarded commendations and 5 pupils received a governor's award and 4 young people for their contribution to promoting community cohesion. It was wonderful to share the stage with Scott Stockman from Year 4, who picked up a Young People's Award, said Mr. Dawson. Scott helped to coordinate our UNICEF blanket appeal for Syrian refugees and helped make the beds at Christ Church Southgate winter night shelter. His efforts sum up the outward-looking ethos of Walker Primary School, said Mr. Dawson. Paula Christodoulou, Friends of Walker chairwoman, was also recognised for her voluntary work at the school. Certificates were also awarded for completing the Governor Accreditation Programme. I am immensely proud of all our governors who make a huge contribution to the success of schools in Enfield, said Aoife Oran, the Council's Cabinet Member for Education, Children's Services and Protection. I am also delighted that Phillip Dawson has been rightly recognised for the colossal contribution he has made to Walker Primary School this year. Well done, Phillip.
Yes, congratulations, Phillip. And from one school connection to another. This article is written by somebody that I was at school with. Currently our MEP for London, so presumably his job's going to be gone soon. And here it goes. As an MP for London, I was disappointed by the results of the survey on broadband speeds by Consumers Association, which it reveals that speeds in many parts of central London are nothing like those further out. The measure is megabits per second, Mbps, and Southwark and Westminster have an average of 10.4 and 12.9 respectively, while Kingston gets 25, and Enfield has the luxury of 29.1. A city of our prominence and standing deserves broadband that is excellent, consistent and universal. Bad broadband speed hits families who may want to have several different streams of internet use operating simultaneously. Worse than that, it holds back the businesses that could be creating jobs and contributing to our prosperity. Slow broadband speeds mean a slower economy. We need to see our mayor working with London boroughs to do everything possible to speed up the internet across London. Our people and our businesses deserve better, and that's from Saeed Kamal.
Residents rewarded for fundraising. The fundraising achievements of a group of housing association residents were recognised at a celebration thrown by their landlord. People living on their own in homes in Enfield provided by Origin Housing set up a crowdfunding page to start a community group to benefit residents and promote health and well-being. The Housing Association's development team organised a sponsored walk, and the proceeds from that, combined with the crowdfunding, helped raise £1,248.50. Match funding of £1,000 from Origin Housing meant that a total of £2,248.50 was raised, and a giant mock cheque for that amount was handed over at the presentation celebration at the Cube at Ponders End Community Development Trust in Nags Head Road. Residents also received certificates. Origin spokeswoman Kelsey Buckow said, "They're forming a residents group to bring people together and promote community cohesion, and they've already arranged a summer coach trip."
And here's an interesting letter from Monty Meth, who is the life president of the Enfield Over 50s Forum. And he writes, "Contrary to Theresa May's election campaign claim, we now know there is a magic money tree growing in the Downing Street Rose Garden. The first 1 million crop has gone to 10 Northern Ireland MPs as a down payment for future services. So how much money will the Prime Minister pay for our record 10,000 plus signatures from Enfield's residents supporting an Over 50s Forum petition, I wonder? We are requesting that a fairer funding formula be applied in determining future government grants to our council. We expect ministers to shake that elusive magic money tree so it delivers here in Enfield." The June meeting of the full council agreed unanimously to support Conservative councillor Edward Smith's resolution calling for bipartisan cross-borough working to address the unfair nature of the government's funding formula as it affects local government in outer London. The election result has, however, meant that ministerial intentions have been abandoned, or in Whitehall speak, reprioritised. Among them was the idea that rates collected from businesses might be retained by council to replace reduced government funding. Ministers appear to accept the need for a national debate about the unfairness of council funding, so we'll have to make our voices heard alongside the call for fair funding for schools and the NHS, and ending the 1% pay cap for nurses and firefighters and the cut in police budgets. I hear now that local mental health trust is underfunded by about £5 million a year. So that magic money tree will need to produce a bumper crop, or else people will draw their very own conclusions.
We will learn a great deal from each other. Colleges set out plans for a merger. 2 colleges are set to merge in the coming months. Epping Forest College is to merge with Barnet and Southgate College in a formal collaboration, the process for which has already begun. Epping Forest College is to merge with Barnet and Southgate College in a formal collaboration, the process for which has already begun. Epping Forest College was rated inadequate by Ofsted in 2016 and has since replaced its principal and a number of its senior leadership team. Sabu Famil, the chief executive and principal of Epping Forest College, said, "This formal partnership will ensure that we can work together, plan together, and develop a more robust and diverse range of provision for the communities we serve. I have no doubt that we can learn a great deal from one another and build upon our strengths. This comes after Barnet and Southgate College announced a similar merger with Waltham Forest College in October last year, which came after a year of negotiations. Barnet and Southgate College principal David Byrne said he is delighted to have been chosen for the merger. He continued, "There is clear evidence of improvement made under the new leadership of the college, and we are looking forward to establish ways to provide an improved, enhanced offer for learners and employers alike. We are committed to the work we serve and look forward to working with Epping Forest College to implement new strategies and develop more significant solutions for the long-term benefit of learners." A statement from colleges said the reason for the merger was to improve and enhance their ability to respond to the aspirations and needs of learners and of the specialist industries we both serve.
Artistic young pupils unveil their creations. Creative primary school pupils showcased their masterpieces at an art exhibition in Enfield. Youngsters from 13 schools presented their creations for the Art and Enterprise event at the Dugdale Centre in London Road on Friday. Up to 960 pupils have been taking part in workshops over the summer term for the art project, which involved working with a range of materials, including different textiles, felt and wire. The youngsters, aged from 5 to 10, were visited by professional artists who helped them with their creations at their schools. Guests of honour at the exhibition included Mayor of Enfield Christine Hamilton and Ifa Orhan, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Education, Children's Services and Protection. Youngsters sold a selection of their artwork at Enfield Town Market. The project was run by Enfield Town's Schools Partnership and supported by the Old Enfield Charitable Trust and the Ernest Cook Trust. Ms Orhan said, "This was a wonderful project which has produced fantastic results and demonstrates the creativity, talent and dedication of our young people and our teachers and the artists who helped put the project together."
And now we go over to Arthur, who has the sports news this week.
First of all is a story on football. Nottingham Wales signed for Town as lease strengthens. Enfield Town have continued their preparation for the upcoming Premier League campaign with the addition of two new signings. Mario Notto and Steve Wales become the latest names to join Andy Leese's squad as the Towners boss looks to hit the ground running in his first season in charge of the club. Midfield Notto arrives at the Queen Elizabeth II's Stadium with a wealth of experience, having played for a multitude of clubs throughout his career. The 32-year-old started his footballing life at Tottenham Hotspur before moving to Reading, where he failed to make an appearance. Spells at Canvey Island, Chelmsford and Boreham Wood followed before Notto joined Harlow Town in November 2015. Lees is clearly eager to add experience to his squad, with his second recent addition coming in the form of a 30-year-old Steve Wales. The midfielder spent last season at Wingate and Finchley, where he helped Keith Rowland's side to a playoff semi-final against Bognor Regis. After he arrived with a CV boost in a number of clubs, having had spells at St Albans City, Chesham United, Hemel Hempstead Town, Boreham Wood, Cambridge City and AFC Wimbledon. Wales also has the international experience to his name, representing the England C team. The duo could be in contention to feature on Saturday when Town make on Amersham Town in the first of 9 pre-season friendlies they have arranged. The clash will see Lees, who used to manage Chesham United and also work with Amersham boss Mani Assar, return to an area he is familiar with. He is therefore looking forward to both the meeting with Amersham and the remainder of Enfield's pre-season schedule. He said, "I have many memories of our time at Chesham, and it would be a good time to go back to the area for one of our warm-up matches before the start of the season proper. It will also be good to link up with Manny again after an enjoyable period working together last year." Assar echoed Lee's sentiments ahead of the match and expects Enfield to provide his side with a stern test. "It's a great experience for our players to meet a team of Enfield's quality and for me personally to join up with Andy again. We are a young team and I'm well aware that Enfield are much higher up the league pyramid than us. But we are aiming for promotion this year, so we need to test ourselves against quality opposition. Enfield's pre-season schedule is a hectic one, and there is little time for rest after they face Amersham on Saturday. An away match against Harran Borough follows next Tuesday before Leese's men travel to Sun Sports on Thursday and entertain Skelmersdale United on July 22nd. Townland face Cheshunt, Highgate United and Heybridge Swifts. Next we have cricket. Hill hit the top. Winchmore Hill moved to the top of Division 3 of the Kingspan Middlesex County Cricket League following a 4-wicket win at Harrow Town on Saturday. The Hill are now 1 point ahead of previous leaders Wickham House, who had to settle for a draw with MTSSC, and 20 points clear of third place Wembley in the race for promotion to Division 2. They dismissed the home side for 128 in 47 overs and clinched victory with more than 10 overs to spare. Skipper Delaray Terblanche 3-25, Jack Irwin 3-59, and James Shepherd 2-46 led the way with the ball after Harrow Town had won the toss and decided to bat first. Harrow Town captain Mohammed Arshad made 56 after coming in at the fall of the first wicket, and opener Gareth Gunasakari contributed 30. In reply, the Hill lost 3 early wickets, but then Garen Saunders 40, supported by Tablanc 22 and Irwin 15, put them on the right track before Carly Avent's unbeaten 45 steered them home after 42 overs. Meanwhile, Southgate had the better of draw with Brondesbury in a tense finish at the Walker Grounds, but stayed bottom of the Premier Division. Set 248 to win, Southgate seemed in danger of defeat as they slipped 126 to 5 and 181 to 7. But Tom Edrick put on 55 for the 6th wicket with Ashu Shahota, 41 and 39 for the 8th wicket with Rashid Mulazade, to take Southgate within touching distance of the 4-point target. Mulazadadi was dismissed for 19 and Marcelo de Crescendo departed first ball, but Southgate held on at 221 to 9 after 57 overs with Edrick, who had come in at 76 to 2, undefeated on 55. Earlier, Michael Stevens had finished with 4-68 from 17 overs, and Brondesbury recovered from 101 to 6 to comply 747 to 7 in 64 overs. They were largely indebted to number 6 Jordan Bethel, who hit a 6 and 9 fours on his way to 95 not out. Enfield suffered a crushing 209-run defeat in their top-of-the-table clash at Highgate, who now lead division table by 18 points. The home side piled up 354 to 8 in 50 runs as Shane McNamara hammered a run a ball, 145 before he became the third of Dan Amadi's 5 victims. He shared an opening partnership in 90 with Chris Arnold, 52, and added 122 for the 3rd wicket with Scott Erstall, 52. Amadi finished with 5 to 74 from 8 overs. Elstone then ripped through the Enfield baton, taking 6 to 30 in 14.1 overs, and the visitors crashed to 145 all out with the best part of 11 overs remaining. Jack Plum, 49, was Enfield's top scorer, and Arthur George was 23 not out when the innings folded. This Saturday, Southgate are away to North Middlesex, and Enfield are at home to Hornsey, while Winchmore Hill entertain Bretham.
Thank you, Arthur. And we have one more story?
Now we move to track events. Anniversary gold for Ujah after season's best run. CJ Ujah produced his finest performance of the season as he won gold at the anniversary games on Sunday. The Enfield-born sprinter was on top of his game as he left the former Olympic Stadium in Stratford with the top prize after a fine display in the 100-metre final. Ujah's time saw him come close to matching his personal best of 9.96, which he ran on 2 separate occasions in 2014 and 2015. The 23-year-old ran a time of 10.02 to claim top spot ahead of fellow Brit James Dasolu, who also ran a season's best of 10.06 to secure second spot. American Isa Young completed the top 3, clocking 10.07 to win bronze. It was a good day all round for British athletes in the 100-metre event, as Harry Atkins Arati picks up a 4th place finish with a time of 10.16.
Thank you. And now we have details of coming events coming up over the next week in Enfield and further afield. Firstly, 3 events in Enfield area. The inclusive Sing Out Choir presents Here Comes the Sun, We Who Live in Hope, on Monday the 17th of July at 1 p.m. That's at the Enfield Baptist Church, Cecil Road, Enfield, EN2 6TG. Entry's free, so just turn up and enjoy. And you can join the group for refreshments afterwards. It's being put on in partnership with Music Therapy Tree, supporting vulnerable children through music therapy in schools. Later on Monday the 17th of July also, you can learn about proposed changes to Enfield Social Care, the charging policy, at a special talk by Enfield Carers Centre. That's Monday the 17th of July from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at Community House, 311 4th Street, Edmonton, N9 OPZ. And another musical event, you can join the Rowan Tree Choir for Sounds of the 60s on Tuesday the 18th of July at 7:30 p.m. That's going to be on at Palmer's Green United Reformed Church, which is in Fox Lane, N13 4AL.
And here's news of 2 central London events happening. The first is an event at the Museum of London. It's a blind and partially sighted visitors invite where you can join a Museum of London trained tour guide for a 60 to 90 minute audio described tour of the major exhibition called The City Is Ours. It's on Wednesday the 19th of July at 2 p.m. and the tickets are free, but you must book. Please note that blind and partially sighted visitors also need to book tickets, but although they are welcome to bring a sighted friend along. The box office number is 0207 001 9844 at box office access at museumoflondon.org.uk. And I believe the closest tube to that venue is the Barbican. And then there's more news of a West End event happening at the Shaftesbury Avenue Lyric Theatre. 2 crafty robbers, 1 tiny ladybird and a whole farmyard of fun in this glittering stage adaptation of Julia Donaldson and Lydia Monk's colourful farmyard adventure. With a live music, puppetry, plenty of audience participation and lots of laughs, no doubt. It's called What the Ladybird Heard. And that's on Thursday the 20th of July at 11 a.m. And ticket price is £9.25. reduced from £18.50. And again, that's at the Lyric Theatre, Shaftesbury Avenue, London, W1D 7ES.
I have an announcement of Art Through the Words at the National Gallery. Each last Saturday in the month, except for December, the National Gallery holds Art Through Words, a free description session for blind and partially sighted people. The next session is Constable, about the Stratford Mill, and it's on Saturday the 29th of July. The National Gallery is at Trafalgar Square. The postcode is WC2N 5DN, and the nearest tube is either Leicester Square or Charing Cross. Meet at the Sainsbury Wing information desk just before 11:30 a.m. and you will be taken to the room where the session will be held. Visitors are given a detailed verbal description of the painting, after which the group will visit the gallery to where the painting hangs. Art Through Words is free, but visitors are advised to book in advance to guarantee a place. The telephone number is 020 7747 2864. Or you can email education@ng, that's National Gallery, ng-london.org.uk.
And here's something about changes that are happening to our borough, to Ponders End in particular, and an update for you. And it's from the Enfield Council, and it goes, Ponders End continues its transformation over the next few months. Find out more about what we are doing in this newsletter. So presumably there's a newsletter that you can get hold of if you're interested in finding out more. And it's specifically, what we're interested in here is the high street improvements and therefore road closures information. As you may be aware, Enfield Council is making a huge investment in Ponders End to make it a better place to live, work and visit. There are several major projects currently taking place aimed at increasing housing and community facilities in the area, together with improvements to road safety and traffic flow. However, for us to bring these projects to fruition, it will be necessary to close off the junction of Ponders End High Street, Derby Road, Lincoln Road and South Street for a 6-week period starting from the 24th of July. So that's from next week, and that's a major junction. The reduction in traffic due to the school holiday will contribute to the fast pace of works, which will take place every day, and will therefore significantly alleviate inevitable travel pressures during the works. We appreciate that road closures will cause disruption and inconvenience, and we had considered installing temporary traffic lights, but our analysis found this would have easily double the amount of time required to finish the project. The road closure will ensure that the works are carried out swiftly, safely and effectively, and then there's follow-up information on what exactly the details of the works will include. So that's particularly for our residents who live in and around the Ponders End area, and I know there are quite a few of you, and that's 6 weeks worth of roadworks beginning from the 24th of July.
And now details of the latest in a series of audio description tours at Tate Modern. You can join the group there for tours of the collection for blind and partially sighted visitors. The tours use audio description, raised images, handling objects and group discussion to discover new artworks and ideas. So the next of these audio description sessions is Wednesday the 26th of July. It's with Sally Booth and called In the Studio, Exploring Intimacy and Intensity. Work made in the studio can be intimate or monumental. In this audio-described tour, visually impaired artist Sally Booth selects a variety of portraits, paintings and sculptures from the Tate collection, which explore themes of intimacy and intensity. The tours take place from 4 o'clock to 5:30 p.m. You can join in the community room from 3:30 for tea and cake before the tour starts. No booking is required. You just go to the Blavatnik entrance on the south side of the building off Sumner Street. And the community room is at the end of the terrace bar. And the tour itself takes place seated in the gallery. Sighted companions and guide dogs are very welcome, and the event is fully supported by trained audio describers. There are also hearing loops and amplifiers available. And if you've got any other access needs that you'd like to let them know about or any queries, you can contact Anna Murray, the assistant curator. There's an email and phone to contact her either by anna.murray@tate.org.uk, or you can call 020 7887 8888.
Clever bilingual pupils trained to be interpreters. Pupils have successfully trained to become interpreters for fellow classmates with little or no English. 15 pupils from Nightingale Academy in Edmonton have completed the special programme and are now able to translate into Bulgarian, Spanish, Romanian, Turkish, Polish, Italian, Kurdish and even Portuguese. 7 more students have begun their training and will join the rest of the team after completing their course. The team's primary role will be to translate in teacher meetings with parents and to help with phone calls on open evenings. Dagmara Fiedler, interpreter coordinator at Nightingale Academy, said, This builds the interpreter's confidence and makes them feel proud as they have an important role in their school. These skills could even lead to careers for them.
A quick notice for you. We now have a new website where you can listen to the latest recording of the Enfield Talking newspaper. Simply type etnlisten.com into your browser and the recording should play straight away. State-of-the-art brewery invites revellers to join them for a launch celebration. Where better to hold a launch party than at a brewery? Revellers are being invited to celebrate the opening of a £30 million riverside brewery in Enfield on Saturday, July 29th. The state-of-the-art plant on the banks of the River Lee in Ponders End has been built by the Kentish town-based Camden Town Brewery, which has outgrown its premises and has relocated production to the borough. The all-day bash from midday to 9 p.m. will have a host of fun-filled attractions for all of the family, including tours of the brewery, beer tasting, pop-up restaurants, live music and DJs at a special bandstand, as well as screen printing and design workshops, a skate park, children's activities including a bouncy castle, a soft play area, face painting, balloon animals and candy floss. Entry to the party is free of charge via a general admission ballot. To register for tickets and find out more information, visit tickets.camdentownbrewery.com.
Sounds like a lot of fun to me. Mayor's charity will take care of carers. Enfield's mayor wore her heart on her sleeve as she launched Enfield Cares, her chosen charity, for her year in office. Supporters packed into the mayor's parlour at Enfield Civic Centre as Christine Hamilton declared that she was aiming to raise the profile and celebrate carers in the borough through her charity. Every single day, around the clock, thousands of people in Enfield are quietly fulfilling caring roles for a family member or a friend, said the mayor. They can be called on 24 hours a day, and many of them are unpaid or have given up paid employment to care. My charity this year is dedicated to reaching out to all our carers and the communities and organisations which support them. As well as raising money for carers' support groups, I want to raise awareness of the invaluable role they play in supporting many of the most vulnerable in our communities. Carers contribute so much to people's quality of life. It is right and proper that this mayoral year is spent giving them the appreciation they so richly deserve and to showing that Enfield cares about carers. Mrs. Hamilton is aiming to make her charity inclusive through fundraising and will work with a range of groups including Mind in Enfield, Tender Care and the Sickle Cell and Thalassemia charity at North Middlesex University Hospital in Edmonton. She wants her charity to highlight the help available for mental health patients and victims of bullying, and is also aiming to boost awareness to the outreach and support network for victims of domestic violence or hate crime.
Shops' official openings a right royal occasion. Shoppers flock to the opening of a new charity shop, the first of many in the aid of the Royal Free charity. The store in Church Street, Enfield Town, opened to the public on Saturday, selling everything from clothes and shoes to sugar bowls and bric-a-brac. It will be open 7 days a week, and other than a paid shop manager and assistant manager, the team is made up of volunteers, all keen to support the Chase Farm charity and Barnet Hospital charity. Chris Burgess, Royal Free Charity's chief executive, said, "We're very excited about this new venture for the charity, which will provide a source of unrestricted income and enable us to deliver the services we provide to patients like massage therapy, as well as enabling us to establish new services. The shop is situated next to Starbucks coffee shop and is the first of a string of dedicated shops that will be rolled out over this year. In common with other retail shops, the business will pay market value rent to the landlord, but because it's a charity, it will receive 80% business rate relief on the premises. And if you want any information on donating or volunteering, the person to contact is Laura Muir, and there's an email address. Her name is spelled Laura, Laura Muir, Muir. So it's laura.muir@royalfreecharity.org.
Jail sentence for car parts con man. A fraudster from Palmer's Green has been jailed after selling fake car parts and vehicles with fake service histories for thousands of pounds on online auction sites. Antonis Anzoli of Farndale Avenue admitted fraud and counterfeit charges at Wood Green Crown Court. The 34-year-old was sent to prison for 6 months for the counterfeit goods charges and 12 months for the fraud charges, and these sentences to run concurrently. The court heard that Anzuli started trading in counterfeit goods in 2008, and 7 years later, in June 2015, he was caught in possession of unauthorised trademark goods, which he sold on online auction sites under vehicle manufacturers including Peugeot, BMW, Renault and Volvo. He was found to have forged the service histories of at least 18 vehicles, making about £79,500 from his illegal activities. And the court also ordered the destruction of the counterfeit items and those Anzoli used to create false service histories. Anzoli is now subject to confiscation proceedings under the Proceeds of Crime Act to recover money from his illegal activities. Customers have the right to expect to receive the goods they have paid for and not receive a poor quality counterfeit knockoff instead, said Daniel Anderson, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Environment. We will not tolerate illegal activity in Enfield, and we will take effective action to deal with traders who flout the law. Deceit is not an acceptable basis for a business model, and I am pleased that the court has reinforced that message by jailing Anzoli for his misdemeanours. Building strong communities relies on us building regulating businesses as they stick to the rules for the benefit of both consumers and other law-abiding companies who are otherwise disadvantaged when others behave in a criminal manner.
And I've had 2 letters. The first is from Crystal Fonyonga, who's the Enfield Council Cabinet Member for Community Safety and Public Health. It is vital to stand against knife crime. Hundreds of people from our local communities turned out for the Schools Against Violence in England march on Saturday, July the 1st, showing their determination to stand up against knife crime and not accept the crime and violence are an inevitable part of life. Enfield Council, the police and partners continue to work closely together to support local communities and combat knife crime, pooling resources and expertise to deliver crime-tackling measures such as the increased use of CCTV and increased patrols. We are also working closely with the Mayor of London, who has just announced a range of initiatives to help tackle knife crime. These include providing metal-detecting wands for schools, introducing new community sentences for knife possession, delivering specialist police work in knife crime hotspots, targeting shops which sell illegal knives to young people, and offering increased support for young victims of knife crime and their families. While it is great that so many organisations, groups, communities and individuals are united by a passionate commitment to keep our young people safe, it is time the government did its bit. The police service in London needs to be properly funded, and we will continue to make the case to government. And the second letter is from Jean Robert Molly of Arlo Road, Winchmore Hill. Congratulations on a great show. I would like to congratulate Anne and Hugh Humphrey and their team for the brilliantly organised fancy fair held on Winchmore Hill Green. It seems that no effort had been spared to make it a big success, which it certainly was, and I'm sure it must have been great for the local shops, restaurants and cafes who were all doing a roaring trade. There were fascinating stalls, live entertainment, and above all the Ferris wheel, which had a queue of eager people wanting to ride on it all day long. I don't really wish to pick out any one special because all the stallholders clearly worked so hard, but I was very impressed to realise how many wonderful artists we have living in and around Winchmore Hill. And I was also delighted that our Green Party stall attracted many people who were keen to buy our raffle tickets, as much to support the Green Party as to win a prize. So thank you to everyone who supported the fair, and thank you again to the organisers. After so much bad news, this was the boost we all needed, and the weather did help, of course.
Crowds flock to fun summer activities. Thousands of people flocked to the Lee Valley for a range of summer activities. A beer festival and summer activities were just some of the events on offer at the park. Crowds were treated to a beach football match between old football foes England and Germany, free sessions in canoeing, stand-up paddleboarding, an inflatable obstacles course, as well as a chance to watch athletes speed down the Olympic course in kayaks and rafts. Over at Lee Valley Park Farms, Waltham Abbey, cartoon characters Captain Barnacles and Quasi performed their Octonauts to Your Station's mini-show to excited children who could meet Pete, the 13-foot-long Tyrannosaurus Rex, if they so chose. Families wandered Lee Valley Park Farms, home to 300 animals, to see chinchillas, bearded dragons, long-necked llamas, and a family of meerkats. And there's a lovely picture here of one of the presumably youngsters that turned up for the fun day, bouncing her heart out on the bouncy castle.
Now, another letter. It's quite a long letter, an open letter from Deborah Fowler on a topic that's been discussed quite a lot at the moment and is at the front of NHS policy. She writes of, quote, secret NHS plans. It's to Jeremy Hunt, MP. And she writes, I'm writing as one of the chairs of the local health watch in North Central London, NCL, to express dismay and concern about the situation outlined in an NHS NCL memo reported in the press. The document, circulated among dozens of top NHS officials, outlined how the, quote, capped expenditure process will hit the provision of NHS care to 1.44 million people living in North London, including Enfield. Patients will apparently be denied treatment, waiting times for operations will lengthen, and A&E and maternity units may be shut under secret NHS plans to impose unprecedented cuts to health spending. It outlined the, quote, difficult choices NHS bosses are forcing the 10 hospital trusts in NCL to make in the next few months to plug a £183.1 million hole in their budget for the current year. According to this internal document, doctors in the 5 London boroughs will have to spend less on drugs regardless of population need. Fewer patients will be referred to hospital regardless of need, and support for people with severe health needs will be cut as part of the plan. Hospitals have been told to implement draconian cost-cutting measures, which will, without doubt, impact on the quality of services and patient safety. They will also impact upon people's quality of life, increase the number of people living in pain and discomfort, and require people to wait longer and travel further for treatment. Last month's inaugural meeting of the NCL Sustainability and Transformation Plan, the SDP, Advisory Board, health experts, local health watch chairs, council leaders and provider chairs were briefed on the appalling financial position faced by NCL. However, we were not briefed on any proposals to achieve huge financial savings. We received the clear impression that NHS England is asking NCL to make unachievable cuts to services that would be very damaging to patient experience, patient care, patient safety. Our work with patients and the wider public leaves us in no doubt that health services in NCL are already under serious strain. We have, for example, recently witnessed the near collapse of the A&E service in North Middlesex University Hospital. Moreover, in a recent NHS patient survey, the Trust was in the bottom 10 performers in England. This is not simply the consequence of bad management, but a lack of human and financial resources. Providers in NCL are struggling to cope with the demands made on them to the point where patient safety as well as service quality is compromised. The London Ambulance Service often delivers its worst performance in the outer boroughs of NCL, failing to meet required standards. Further cuts, as outlined in the, quote, leaked memo, will only put more pressure on the services and, as accepted in the internal memo, will lead to a significant reduction in the quality of patient care and patient experience across the area. We're also concerned about proposed reductions to the Better Care Fund, with local authorities in north central London already struggling to cope with increased demand for services. Any reductions in the Better Care Fund or funding for service integration and transformation that will put service charge plans in jeopardy, as well as jeopardising basic social care services for vulnerable people. Although there has been some very limited consultation on the STP and its potential to achieve greater efficiency, at no stage has there been any discussion about such substantial cuts in services. Indeed, the Equality Impact Assessment attached to the STP for NCL paints a picture of very positive impacts on all protected characteristic groups. This is clearly an impossibility with such reduced funding. We're obliged to conclude that there appears to be a two-stream STP, one that's consulted on and the other which is not transparent and is kept from public view. There is already substantial scepticism about the STP process in our local communities, but measures envisaged in the memo, together with a lack of transparency, will undermine any remaining confidence that the process might result in service improvement. Local Health Watch have a duty to monitor the impact of health and social care services on our population and to highlight concerns relating to patient safety. The experience of Mid Staffordshire NHS Foundation Trust showed that ignoring patients' experiences and perspectives can lead to a catastrophic system failure. As chairs of these organisations, we are very directly saying that these proposed cuts to services are a threat to patient safety, and we are therefore asking for 1. A review of the financial constraints within which NCL is being asked to operate. 2. NHS NCL to be provided with sufficient funding for upfront investment and any dual running costs needed to achieve service transformation for the benefit of local people. And 3. Publication of and engagement of residents in NCL STP workstream plans, processes and proposals. We welcome the opportunity to discuss this with you and other stakeholders.
Enfield's answer to Glastonbury returns. Enfield's Answer to Glastonbury kicks off for its 6th year at Forty Hall Farm. Not-for-profit, family-friendly festival Livestock will host more than 20 artists across 3 stages, food and drink stands and children's entertainment on July the 29th, and it promises to be bigger and better than ever. Bands set to rock out on the stage include White Light, the glam rock group, who will start the festival with a bang, tribute bands ABBA Chic and Springsteen, a tribute to the boss, ska pop band Cool Bricks, and Enfield's own mod group, the Gregory Gang. The event began live as a small street party and has since grown into one of North London's top musical festivals. And Livestock is at Forty Hall Farm, Enfield, EN2 9HA. And again, it's on July the 29th from 12 till 11 p.m. And you can find more details at livestockuk.com.
Now we have an article on the Middleton Road Summer Festival. Thousands intent on a great time turned out for the Glasgow of street festivals last weekend. The joint was well and truly jumping at the Middleton Road Summer Festival on Sunday, July 2. Sunday, July the 2nd, as visitors enjoyed stalls, street games and a music stage. DJs and live music kept the people moving as they sampled street food, fresh produce and cakes. Craft jewellery and gift sellers offered everything from the exquisite to geek girls, and face painters turned kids into butterflies, fairies, tigers and the occasional Harry Potter character. Event organiser Lucy Whitehead said, "It was a superb day, our biggest and best. We had over 45 stall holders, bars and music stage on a truck with 5 local bands playing. There was a local DJ playing and a fun fair, giant games in the road and face painting in the community garden." One of the festival goers, Friarich Ernest, was full of enthusiasm and praise for the afternoon festival and said, "Nice Sunday and superb music, thank you, especially the young band from Browns Green. I'm impressed."
Well, we've reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. And from the team of Katherin, Ian, Roz, Arthur, Patricia and Dem on the controls, it's goodbye. Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet. Put the memory stick into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget, you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking Newspaper on 020 8805 6578. Coming up next, the latest news and information for the Greater London area from InfoSound. The Enfield Talking Newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.